Adam Silver does not think Kevin Durant joining the Warriors is ideal for the league. And for that reason, Mark Cuban is out. The Mavs owner and former Around the Horn panelist disagreed with Silver, comparing Golden State to the LeBron-led Heat. Said Cuban, "I love that there was a villain. Everybody's going to root for them to lose." So Ramona, we'll start you off here. Do you sit on Cuban's side or Silver's side on this issue?
I guess I sit on Mark Cuban's side. I mean, look, I'm really on my side here. I'm like a totally self-absorbed millennial right now. I want to write stories about this. I'm in the media. This is great copy. The Warriors have been America's team. Steph Curry is the 12-year-old that everybody wants to be, and now everyone's going to hate them. This is great. I want to see how Kevin Durant responds to being the villain. I think it's going to change him as a player and as a person. It might actually help him. LeBron James grew tremendously after 2011 when he went to the Miami Heat and then had to survive, had to move on past losing in those finals. I think that was a great thing for LeBron James. I think it'll be a great thing for Kevin Durant.
Ramona Shelburne is preaching storylines there with the classic self-obsession of a millennial. So mute for that. Plashke, clean that up, please.
Ramona, you're right. It's good to have villains, but you need somebody who can challenge those villains. The NBA doesn't have that. Adam Silver is exactly correct. This is not good for the league. And just look at the NFL, the most popular league by far in this country. It's because of parity. They preach parity every day. The NBA is only as strong as your Utah against Milwaukee on a Thursday night. Who cares about those games? Increasingly, those games disappear. Plus, in the NBA, because of the draft rules, the more you have a super team, the more tanking there will be. How many teams are going to tank, legitimately tank this year? There's going to be many, many teams tanking this year. This is not good for basketball. It's not good for the NBA.
Phil Plashke, you get points for your insights as well, but then you're preaching Milwaukee versus Utah. Woody Page, the NBA is a star-driven league, is it not?
Sure, I'm on the side of Mark Cuban on this, but Ramona, I want to give you a couple of pieces of advice. Pay no attention to what Bill Plashke says. That's A. And B, there is no I in Around the Horn. So get over talking about yourself and talk about being a part of this team. That's what I've always been, and that's why I'm talking about teams. I like the teams that are villains. And Bill Plashke, you mentioned the NFL. What's the biggest villain team in the NFL? The New England Patriots. Everybody hates the Patriots. So I think that
the Broncos
in baseball, we've always looked at the Yankees. In hockey, you've always had, Detroit. You like villains, and we've created another one. The Golden State Warriors have gone in 2 years to being from the darlings of the NBA, the team everybody wants to love and cheer. Now they're going to be the villains. What a great idea. And there will be teams to challenge them.
Woody Page, the ultimate Around the Horn team player. Adam Silver was also talking about competitive balance, though. There is an issue about distribution of superstars. What do you make of that angle to the story?
Well, there are only so many superstars to go around, and this is the one sport where the one player can have more of an effect and impact on a team. So it doesn't matter if you circulate them throughout the league. You still might get to half of the league, if that. I don't think this is the problem. This creates storylines, like Ramona said. This creates interest. This creates great potential rivalries there. I mean, Russell Westbrook versus Kevin Durant is kind of interesting. And Bill, by the way, I don't care if they're tanking or not. Nobody's paying attention to the bottom of the league. Nobody's watching the games from the worst teams in any league. So the tanking is just setting them up to potentially be this. So I don't, well, the NFL is a different animal, but I don't think that this is a problem. And I think Adam Silver himself is probably talking for his owner's best interest, but if you give him a lie detector test, he's pretty happy with this.
Ramona, on the competitive balance issue, what do you make of that?
Listen, you can't legislate parity. I mean, you can try to create that. You can try to have that NFL model. But they've been trying to do this for the last couple of CBAs. They tried to make it so you couldn't have a super team after the Miami Heat. Formed that super team in 2010. That's why you had the 2011 lockout. It took all of a couple of years to create another super team. This team right now, the Golden State Warriors, was created because of an artificial spike in the salary cap, because this network and TNT paid a boatload of money for the TV rights. They went up by $20 million. The Warriors never should have had enough money to go after Kevin Durant without gutting their team, but because the salary cap spiked, they were able to do that. You can't legislate parity.
Bill, back in.
I know I'm going to get muted here, but I'll say it anyway. Look at a team like the Clippers. They've done everything right. Homegrown players. They've kept their stars together for 4 or 5 years. They're ready on the cusp of contention, and now they're blown out of the water by the super team.
Yeah, exactly like that. And we should note, by the way, since the LeBron-led Heat were formed, we've had, as J.J. Redick pointed out today on Twitter, 5 different champions in the last 6 teams for those who are concerned about parity. But what does it all mean for those Thunder? Sources told Bleacher Report's Howard Beck that Russ Westbrook is not planning on sticking around very long. His contract is up next year, and if OKC can sign him long-term, and posits that the team could trade him sooner rather than later. Would that make sense to you, Bill?
Absolutely. Trade him now. Trade him tomorrow. Get rid of him. He's not going to resign there. You're going to let him walk after letting Durant walk. You say, well, maybe he'll have more value during the middle of the season. Well, no, because who's going to want him for 2 months as a 2-month rental? They're going to get him now. Also, I think his value's never been higher than now. He led a team to the cusp of the NBA Finals, and we've seen how he does without Durant. We've seen what he does when he's on the court by himself. You don't want to see him around what they have in Oklahoma City right now. It's better to think of him last year. His value will never be higher. The market's never better for him. Trade him now to somebody who thinks that they can contend with him next year.
Woody, how do you advise Sam Presti?
Well, first of all, Bill, is this your first day on the show, too? You just talked about homegrown players for the Clippers. Their best player was actually put on that team by the NBA front office. Don't talk
he
to me
was
about
not.
that.
They traded for him,
here,
Woody. Oh, no.
You're sitting here talking about Westbrook, and you want to trade him now. They have just made a deal for a group of players that are going to come in and help that team. He could lead the league in scoring. He's going to have a duel with Kevin Durant. He's going to try to prove to him he made a mistake. He's got these new young players around him. Why not stay there? Let's find out how this team puts together. I went through a situation here in Denver when Carmelo left, and really, how did that help both teams? Why not keep the player and see what happens?
Izzy, do you want to see angry Russell Westbrook in Oklahoma City, or are you looking for him to get out of there?
I'm still trying to figure out who it is that Bill wants him to be traded to. I wonder. No, I do think.
No,
I do think the OKC Thunder should at least hang on to him for a little bit, because you know there's always going to be trade partners. There's always going to be suitors. And who knows, maybe the Warriors or whoever the top of the league is just demoralizes everybody else so much that you get more suitors and more trade offers. And here's the twist. What if he goes through a month or 2 playing in Oklahoma City without Kevin Durant and kind of likes it? Likes being the guy who can shoot 30% and everybody's still supporting you and you're still talking about MVP candidacy.
Ramona.
Well, listen, the story that you read from Howard Beck, it quotes NBA front office guys, like, who are feasting on this idea, who are kicking Sam Presti when he's down.
Right.
My goodness. I mean, of course they're going to say that they should trade Russell Westbrook. Yeah, to them, because they want him. He's one of the best players in the league. There's no such thing as trading a superstar and getting equal value for them anymore. But I think his value is probably the highest right now, because any team that trades for him knows that he can leave them after next season. And so unless they have assurances that he wants to re-sign, you're not going to give up very much for Russell Westbrook right now. But if I'm Sam Presti, I go to Russell Westbrook and say, listen, can we do for you what Houston did for James Harden? Can we sign an extension and give you some more money to get you to stay for at least another year?
Plashke, who are you sending Russell Westbrook to?
For the record, I don't want him traded to the Lakers. I'm really high on D'Angelo Russell after watching him in Summer League and Brandon Ingram.
Sure.
No, not to the Lakers, but trade him somewhere.
Clippers.
Just for good measure. In other league development, it's time to backtrack a hack-a-shack. The NBA has ruled that all fouls off the ball in the last 2 minutes of any quarter will now result in 1 shot and the ball back. But you can still hack-a-shack, scrum Munda Drummond, or Bismack Biyombo for the first 10 minutes of each quarter. So, Woody, do you like this legislative compromise?
Not at all. Really? You think this is going to change anything in the NBA? Oh, I'm a coach. Oh, here, what should I do? Maybe I'll foul on purpose in the first 2 minutes of the quarter because there's no rule about that time. Oh, gee, what else should I do? Gee, I'm a coach of one of these players. Maybe I'll go teach him how to shoot free throws. Let's talk about Tim Duncan and what he did in his career. He started out, it was foul of Duncan. And guess what? He learned how to shoot free throws. Why don't they work on that? Why don't we work on improving the game rather than trying to move the game around so it fits players who can't play the game?
Izzy, is that a fair strategy, skill development as a solution to hack-a-shack?
This wasn't a compromise, Pablo. This was just delaying the inevitable, because now instead of 2 minutes of potentially watchable basketball, you have 8 minutes of potentially watchable basketball, because if somebody goes the hack of whomever, it's difficult to watch. And I just want to ask this question. How would the Clippers, Pistons, or whoever these teams that get hacked a lot, how would their seasons have changed if this rule was in play for 48 minutes for the entire game? Probably wouldn't change much, right? Except we get to watch better basketball.
Ramona.
Yeah, I used to be on Woody's side here. I used to be like, just learn to shoot free throws. Karl Malone had to do that. Blake Griffin had to do that. But then I had to sit through the Clippers-Rockets playoff series a couple of years ago. And if I had paid money to watch that series, if I wasn't being paid to be there, I would have demanded a refund. It was horrible basketball. And I think if you're a fan and you're demanding this of your league, if you're saying, and they've done research on this, that fans do not like this, they don't like when teams go to the hack-a-shack, you got to give the people what they want. And I think it's something that Adam Silver and the NBA have done well, that other sports like baseball have not.
Bill.
Yeah, Woody, sports are forever changing the parameters to fit the players. This is a rule that needs to be full-time, but they can't put it in right away. It's a slow easing of the rule into here, which is exactly what we need. I was sitting next to Ramona for those games, and it's awful. Yeah, it's awful when you see him. It stops everything, and it's not entertainment. And the NBA, as you all been saying, all about super teams and all this stuff, it's entertainment. This is not entertaining. It's a good first step.
That is your horn, and we talk about sports with weird rules. Ramona, I'm sure you understand how this show's rules work by now after getting yelled at by Bill Plaschke, Woody Page, and Israel simultaneously. After the break, we'll find out how our rookie fares in buy or sell.